Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Hello, everyone. This is Guy with Jewelry Store Marketers. I'm here with another amazing episode of the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry podcast. And as always, my lovely co-host, Elisa Dillon of Southern Jewelry News is here. Thank you always for being here and making my life more brighter. Thank you, Elisa.
Well, thank you, Guy. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. And our special guest today is Carter Eve of Carter Eve Jewelry. And welcome, Carter. For all you guys that are just listening, we have a lovely young woman, Carter Eve, here on the podcast. Make sure you check out the YouTube so you could also see Carter. But thanks for joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
Perfect. Well,
I'm excited. Let's dive into it, Guy. I know you are.
Yeah.
You're up to bat first. Let's see what
Let's get into it. Tell us about your business, Carter Eve. How long you've been? I mean, it's cartereve.com. And is it an only e-commerce site? And why don't you tell us about your business?
Sure. So it's actually carterevejewelry.com, which is my e-commerce platform. How it all began, when I was a child, I grew up in rural Connecticut, and I was obsessed with collecting rocks and minerals and crystals. But I also had an affinity for miniature flowers and miniature arrangements like doll houses and fairy huts. So I was always drawn to the minutia and the miniature. And it wasn't until I was living in New York City in about 2008, and I was in college for something other than jewelry. And I lived above a jewelry store in the West Village, and I would just walk by every day, and I just became obsessed with jewelry and creating jewelry, and I just wanted to learn every possible thing about manufacturing and being a goldsmith. So my vision and my dream was always to create my own line of fine jewelry and to sell it both online and in person. And that dream has been a reality since 2013.
Congratulations.
Wow. So in 2008,
Yes.
so you said, okay, so you're in school, you're living in New York, and you keep walking back to the jewelry store and loving everything and thinking about it. What did you do? I mean, it looked like, is that 4 or 5 years later that you actually started Carter Eve?
So how it all unfolded was I was a pain to the owners of the jewelry store because I kept going in and they would carve their own wax rings in the back. And so I would just watch them and I had so many questions. And finally, one of the goldsmiths there told me, you should really go to school for this. Like, you clearly love it, but you should go to school because I can't teach you. And so I started taking weekend and night classes in Brooklyn at a full-service jewelry school. And from there, I then applied. I finally built up a portfolio. So then I was able to apply to Savannah College of Art and Design, where I studied jewelry and objects and received my BFA in jewelry and objects in 2013. So then when I graduated, that's when I started my business.
Fantastic.
a SCAD person, yeah. That, there are just so many great designers and sculptors all coming out of SCAD, as part of, as the current Atlanta Jewelry Show, we have the Southern Jewelers Travelers Association that meets twice a year in Atlanta. We have hosted a lot of SCAD students with design contests there. We're actually going to start that up again real soon, and I hope that you'll be able to maybe come to Atlanta and actually see what we're about there, and maybe see some Savannah folks down there. But it's a great institute. I mean, great designers coming out of there, and I know that it's just phenomenal from all aspects of the jewelry. So I think they teach you. You find out where your niche is, and is just pretty much wide open. So that's a great resume you have there on your training and education.
Oh,
And I'm sure you're continuing education too. I mean, what do you do to make sure you're continuing your education?
Yeah. So, if I could have it my way, I would just stay a student pretty much forever because I love learning. And especially with jewelry, there's so many different processes to learn, such as enameling or engraving. And, it just is endless. So how I continue my education is I'm very hands-on in my manufacturing process. So, for example, I have a very unique project going on right now that involves technology. And so by being so involved, and I'll sit with my CAD designers and watch every step of the process and can we tweak this? Can we tweak that? And through that process, I'm learning a lot about new technology, how to incorporate tech in jewelry. Pretty much I learned through new projects because my clients are my greatest teachers, I would say, because they always come up with the most interesting, creative concepts that then it's my job to execute. So yeah, I'm constantly learning on the job. And then I'm also on the board of the Women's Jewelry Association LA chapter, and we have a lot of events through WJA that is also just a continuing education experience.
That's a large chapter out there, I believe. Yeah, it is one of the. Well, good. Well, there you go.
Fantastic. Looking at your website, carterevejewelry.com, it's really beautiful, very clean and classic, and really, really, I don't know, for me, I'm not just getting to know your brand. It's a great representation of the brand. But what we heard how you got started, got into jewelry, and went to school, but from that point until now, what we see, which is very polished, very beautiful website, very beautiful jewelry, must have been super easy to get all this done.
Oh yeah,
Says the man who runs websites.
Yeah. So why don't you talk about how you got to this point? I mean, now you're part of the WJA, and you have some beautiful jewelry. You have a great business, and why don't you talk about the challenges that got you here?
Oh yes, there are many. So I first started the business in 2013. I had moved to Miami, Florida, right after I graduated from SCAD, and I had to take many day jobs in order to fund my creations. I mean, we all know making jewelry, especially fine jewelry, is not cheap, and it is more expensive now than it was then. But still, I had day jobs. I worked retail. I worked at restaurants. I mean, I at one point I think I had 3 different day jobs just to be able to create my initial collection, which did not even launch officially until 2016. But I did a lot of custom work through word of mouth. I did wedding bands. My first commission was a set of wedding bands that had it said "I love you" in sound waves, and so it was him. He recorded himself saying "I love you," and then his partner recorded herself saying "I love you," and there were different sound waves. So I carved that in wax, and that set really put me on the map in terms of the Miami market. And so I was just doing custom at that time, and I was apprenticing with a master jeweler named Bernardo Delgado in his Miami, Florida studio. And it was really, he helped me so much in terms of learning about diamonds, pricing, sourcing, working with clients, how to send an invoice, how to get pieces on memo, all those things they did not teach us in school, just the practical sides of running a business. And so I'm so grateful to him for really taking me under his wing. And he was 85 at the time that he took me in as an apprentice. So it was really a labor of love for him, teaching me how to make intricate hinges. And I sat with him in his office every single day, side by side at his bench. It was really like an old school apprenticeship. So that was the challenges at that point in time were really financial, I would say. And then once I launched my first collection, I did start seeing some sales, but not enough for it to be a full-time job where I could support myself. So I ended up being I was hired as a creative director for Love Audrey Rose, which is a LA-based fine jewelry company. And I created their entire in-house line, which they still sell to this day. And I worked many other jobs while moonlighting at night, weekends, building my collection, working at my home studio in my living room. So it wasn't until 2020 that I officially launched my business in a way where it was a full-time, sustainable situation.
Carter, I know I wanted to unpack a few things that you said. And one, you apprenticed with someone that was old school, which is, I think it's very important to know how to do many things. I don't know if it's the best way to say it, but the old school way. And when you know how to do something without modern technology, without the assistance of certain things, I feel like there's a lot of value in that. And then when you use technology, you really appreciate it. You appreciate when you have the technology that helps you do something faster or better, but you don't rely on it because it's not a crutch that I can only do it this way because technology allows me to do it that way. But if my machine's broken, I can't do it. But having all the soft skills and the background stuff that you would need to have and know when running a business, like how to send an invoice and how to do an intake of jewelry repair or whatever it is, right? Do all of those things. I think that's really important for a lot of people to get a really strong understanding of that. And it's funny these days, we call it the old school way, really, really old school. It is true because obviously there's a lot of different ways to get things done. But I think that was really great experience that you've got to apprentice under somebody that was so thoughtful and caring to show you all of these things. And I think that really plays into maybe how you develop as a jeweler. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, making settings by hand, for example, for an engagement ring, learning how to do that makes me a better designer now, because even though we are incorporating CAD, I know how things are made. I know how they need to be structured in order to last long term, or, the certain prong thickness. These are things that if you're just trained in design and not manufacturing, you wouldn't know that a prong needs to be, 2.2 millimeters thicker before it goes into casting because there's shrinkage. Like, these are things that you have to learn hands-on.
Yeah.
It was really amazing. And, Bernardo, I think the thing that he taught me the most, he was from Peru, and we've spoken Spanish together because I learned how to speak Spanish when I was in high school. But he always used to say, todo con calma. Because when you're making jewelry, if you are rushed, if you're anxious, if you're stressed, you make mistakes. And that's when you melt gold, you burn things, you chip a stone. Like, all the mistakes happen when you are trying to rush. So todo con calma means everything with calm. Like, right. Be calm. Yes, and that was like his mantra. He said that to me almost every day.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yes. See, I'm a really slow learner. I'm pretty thick, just really dense, and it just takes me forever to learn things. And I imagine if I did what you did and learn my experience in going to school, but also doing all that, probably would break a lot of things. Did you? It looks like you've polished the art of making jewelry, but how much stuff did you break? How much stuff did you you made it and you're like, I'm not really happy with this?
Oh, I broke a lot of things in the beginning. One time before I had a big project due when I was at SCAD, it was 2:00 in the morning and I melted my entire ring that was supposed to be due the next day. Like, it melted to vapor. It was gone. So that I did that. And, I still make mistakes. I think that's part of being a creator, is trying new things and then realizing, well, that didn't work out the way I thought. Just a few weeks ago, I tried a really interesting concept for a ring that I had hand carved, and then I micro pavéed certain facets of the ring. And when it was finished, I looked at it and I said, I hate this. Like, I just hate it. And so I took the stones out and I melted the rain dab because, sometimes that just happens when you try something new.
Stuff happens. Well, I have a question. If you could design a piece of jewelry that has a secret compartment, what would you hide inside it?
I would
Because you strike me as one of the type of jewelry designers that would come up with that concept, so I'm like, hey, maybe we're giving you an idea. But if you had to design a piece of jewelry that's a secret compartment,
what would be
you hide
inside?
in it? And yeah.
Well, I love that question because it's really up my alley. So if I were to design a piece of jewelry with a secret compartment, I would probably hide a birthstone in that, or a specific gemstone that means something special to the wearer. So for example, if it's a piece for me, maybe I would hide the birthstone of my husband or even my dog, or something that only I would know what it means, like what the birthstone represents. But that's something that's actually a common theme within my work, specifically engagement rings, where I'll set birthstones or specific stones inside of the shank, so only the person wearing it knows that it's there.
That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
need to do that. Well, on your Insta too, we saw that I would imagine might have been one of your most fun projects is your own engagement ring.
Oh, yeah.
So was that your most favorite piece to design? Favorite piece of jewelry so far?
It's funny because I've done so many custom engagement rings over the years, probably hundreds, because I also worked as a creative director for an engagement ring company for about 3 years. And so I literally designed hundreds of engagement rings. And the one that I wanted for myself, that's changed many times over the years. So many times, I can't even count how many times I've changed my mind. But when it finally came down to what I wanted for my own engagement ring, I decided to just go with something as classic as possible because my tastes are constantly changing. So it just became all about the rock. And so my diamond, actually, I'm wearing it here. It's a 3.1 carat radiant, and it is a D flawless. So I just had to. I had to.
Gorgeous.
I could just imagine your husband. I'm not even going to try. Why bother trying to pick the right ring for a jewelry designer? He'll just let you go at it. Go for it.
Well, he did it though.
He did it.
Yeah. It was important to me that he was involved.
Got
that, yeah.
Because I still wanted that experience that I gave to my clients. So I left sketches, very detailed sketches, lying around casually. Or like
somehow I feel a trap coming on here. No, I'm just kidding. That was
casual, like, oh, what's that?
Right. And if he gets it wrong, nope. That's the reader. No, that's fantastic. And you've been a part of many, unions with your engagement rings and wedding bands, and that's really special. What do you say, Lisa, about your jeweler?
Well, I've always said you pick your doctor, you got to trust it. You better pick your jewelry just like your doctor and your lawyer. It's all built on trust, this business. I'm sure you understand that.
I love that.
Actually, I tell people, I was like, well, I'm just going to go here. And I'm like, well, you might want to look at the independent jewelers in your city and meet them and find out who you have a connection with. With all the custom that I see these next generations coming up with, there's just a lot of, they're very, they know what they want and don't want. Therefore, so yeah, it's important that you trust your jeweler.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think trust is a huge component, to any, working with any jeweler. And the thing that I love the most about, my clients is that we become friends. It's like, we're more than just clients. Like we become friends, and huge life events, like when they have their first baby, I'm there and celebrate with them. Like it's really it's really special, that relationship, and it starts with trust, and then we become like friends or family, and they're like, "You're my jeweler for life." I love it.
There you go. Oh, God, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I guess we don't always record these live, so when this does get recorded, out there in the publication, I, we'll all be heading to Vegas soon. So I wanted to talk to you about your, maybe is that something you've been experiencing? Is the Las Vegas Vegas Jewelry Week, and are you excited about that? Is there anything particularly that you're looking forward to?
So I have yet to go to JCK Vegas, actually, which is crazy. I know.
It's okay. A lot of people have it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been on my list, and I do hope to attend this year. However, I do have a pop-up scheduled for June 1st and 2nd in Massachusetts. So if it works out, then I will attend. But my pop-up schedule, usually I'll do pop-ups on the East Coast towards the end of May, early June. It's graduation season. I have a big hotel over there. So that always comes first. But if I can make it, I will be going from Massachusetts to Vegas.
As you live on in California on the West Coast. Was it take you at Santa Monica? Take you 3 hours to get to Vegas?
4 hours drive.
4 hours. Okay.
From LA, it's no problem, but unfortunately, I will be in Massachusetts.
Exactly.
That's great. I tell you what, it's been a pleasure because I think you're just you could be a light and a lot of inspiration for the young designers out there, and the retailers too. So, you're amazing. We hope to look for you, bigger, better things. I think you're just going to be exploding in the next 5 to 10 years. Watch. Said it here. I really do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you do most of your sales from your website, or do you actually have a location?
So my ultimate dream is to open a flagship retail store that's an atelier and retail space. That's just like an educational place. You can take classes, you can watch how things are made, and you can also shop there, like a whole experience. However, that's the dream. But for now, I sell through my website, and I also have a few different retail stores that I sell at, including a few hotels. So that's why I travel around a lot, because I do pop-ups. I did a pop-up recently at Love Shack Fancy in Palm Beach. My pop-up schedule for May, I'm doing Mayflower Inn and Spa in Connecticut, and then Honeychurch Home in Lenox, Massachusetts. So some of these retail places are not jewelry specific, but I love that fusion of lifestyle, home, and jewelry. I always think of, interior design as jewelry for the home. So it's just adornment, and it's a full experience.
Gosh, that's fantastic.
And
So if somebody wanted to, how do you look for certain places to do these pop-ups a lot? It's because you are collaborating with others. It's a lifestyle. Yes.
Yeah.
So you all, wonderful idea. I'm sure those are successful. And I hope they continue to be successful for you too.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love doing pop-ups. Some designers don't enjoy selling their work and talking about their work. However, I just love connecting with my clients, and I call it playing dress up, because it's a way for you to see the pieces in person. You can try them on. You can have a full like a one-on-one styling session with me, the designer, and people just love that experience. You know what I mean? It's like a
That's
fun,
great.
yeah.
right. No, that's fantastic. We talk to a lot of jewelers. They all have websites, and a lot of them, many of them have jewelry that they design and they put out maybe under their own brand. Obviously, lots of jewelers source their collections from different suppliers and vendors, but you've been able to create your own collection, and you have, like I mentioned, you have a beautiful website. And would you happen to have I don't know, tips for the jewelers out there who want to kind of go more towards their brand, and focusing on their brand, promoting their brand designs and so forth. Would you have tips for them?
Yeah, I think if you want to design and create your own jewelry, this is different than curating things that you see in a catalog and order wholesale. If you're wanting to create something brand new, my best advice is to keep a sketchbook with all of your ideas and just start drawing. I mean, that's the best place to start, is just getting all of your ideas on paper. And then from there, I like to advise people to mine their sketchbook, which is sort of going through after you've kind of purged all of your ideas and picking the best ones or the ones that work together as a cohesive collection. And then from there, if you're just starting out in terms of making your own collection, working with a full service manufacturing facility probably makes the most sense, because they have CAD designers, casting in-house, they can send you wax samples, they can source things for you such as chains, gemstones, diamonds. You don't have to be in a place like Los Angeles or New York, where we have gigantic jewelry districts where you can do all of that yourself the way that I do. If you are living, outside of a jewelry district, your best bet is to work with a full service factory. And that way you can streamline the process a bit. And it does take time to get your initial samples back. Maybe you want to change something. Maybe there's one piece that you just don't like and you don't want to include it. And then after that, then photographing your work and adding it to your website or Instagram. That's sort of the best, the plan of action, I would say, if I were to be advising somebody just starting out.
Yes, and there's a lot of work in that, what you just said.
I know. I mean, it sounds so condensed. It's like, that could take 2 years, actually.
Well, yeah.
But once again, the pearls of wisdom that you'll learn on this podcast, and I think that was great advice and good tips. So that's why we're giving our wisdom. We get people out here for pearls of wisdom. Very great. That was awesome.
Fantastic. So why don't you tell everybody how we can all find you in different ways that you mentioned, the different pop-ups and so forth. Yeah.
Sure. So my work is available for sale at Curated Los Angeles, which is on Montana Ave in Santa Monica. They probably have the largest selection of my pieces, like 65 or 70 pieces over there. I also sell at the Mayflower Inn and Spa in Washington, Connecticut, and Shop Scad in Savannah, Georgia. They have a lot of my bee pieces, because the mascot Scad is the bee. And working on some different retail expansion. If you own a retail store and you'd like to carry my work, you can get in touch with me through my website, cartereavejewelry.com, or through Instagram, cartereavejewelry. And my email address is info@cartereave.com.
Fantastic. Well, we are certainly honored to have you here with us, and congratulations on your recent nuptials and getting married. Second day back on the job, and you spend it with us. I'm sorry about that, but yes,
Thank you so much.
Yeah, all right. Glad that you came on here with us and shared your wisdom and what you do and how you did it, because that's. A lot of people will look at a successful company or person and say, "Oh, overnight success." They're so lucky, and because but they weren't around for all the long hours, all the 3 jobs, so you can support your side hustle and learning, and you have it all wrapped up so nicely in your website, and it just looks flawless, and it looks like you have a big team of designers and people and marketers and so forth, and it took a lot of time, and so congratulations to pulling it all together and doing what you love, right? Doing what you're passionate about. So congratulations, and everyone should definitely give her some love. cartereavejewelry.com and all over social media. And Yeah. So, and maybe we run into you at JCK sometime. And thank you so much for joining.
And any of the retailers or our listeners out there, maybe you might want to do a pop-up. I think in the South, we call those trunk shows maybe more. I don't know if that is the same thing as a pop. I think the pop-up is the more modern word.
It's the same thing.
It's just, okay, I was just going to say, is that this? But yeah, please reach out.
Right.
And again, yeah, we're just, we wish you continued success. And just thanks for your time today.
Yeah.
No, it's been an honor, and it's been really fun. You guys are great.
Thank you.
All right, Carter. Well, thank you so much. Everyone listening, thank you for listening in to the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry Podcast. Again, catch us on the next one. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom Jewelry Podcast. For more information about the show, please visit southernjewelrynews.com/podcast, brought to you by Southern Jewelry News and Jewelry Store Marketers. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you can catch the next show. See you then.